Hello, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be going over 3 ACT math questions. For all these problems, I recommend pausing the video and trying all the problems yourself first before you see me solve them. Without wasting any time, let's get into it. Question 30 says, the base of an escalator in a store is 26 meters long and has a vertical lift of 10 meters as shown below. Which of the following expressions is closest to the angle of inclination between the base of the escalator and the horizontal floor? So for this problem, let's look at the picture first. So we are trying to find this angle, right? And it's given us that the vertical lift is 10 meters. And it's given us that the base of an escalator in a store, right, that is 26 meters long. So the thing to notice is that if we were to take the sine of this angle, let's call the angle theta, sine of theta, that would equal 10, right? The side opposite from this angle is 10. Right, over the hypotenuse, which is 26. So sine theta, sine of this angle, equals 10 over 26. But we want to solve for theta, right? To solve for theta, what you have to do is you have to take the sine inverse of both sides. So let's do that. Sine inverse of this side and sine inverse of this side. And why you have to do that is that's how you get rid of the sine, because the sine inverse and the sine, they cancel each other out. It's like, let's say g of x is the inverse function of f of x, right? And f of x is a function. If I was evaluating the statement f of g of x, it would just be x, right? The f and g, they cancel each other out because they're inverse functions. So we're just left with theta equals the sine inverse of 10 over 26, and that matches f. So just remember, for this problem, try to get the angle into an equation. So sine theta equals 10 over 26. And then you have to manipulate that equation to figure out what the angle is. On to question 42, which says, two concentric circles are shown below. The radius of the larger circle is 10 feet, and the radius of the smaller circle is 6 feet. What is the area in square feet of the shaded region bounded by the circles? The red line is our larger circle, right? And the orange line is our inner circle, right? So we want to figure out the area of this region right here, right? This now shaded yellow region. So it appears that this is basically the area of the larger circle, but excluding the area of the smaller circle. So for this problem, what you have to do is you have to find the area of the larger circle, right, minus the area of the smaller circle. So you have to find out the area of the larger circle and the area of the smaller circle, and then you have to subtract the area of the smaller circle from the larger circle. Remember, to find the area of a circle, it's area of circle, it's pi r squared. It's given that the area of the larger circle, the radius of the larger circle is 10 feet, and the radius of the smaller circle is 6 feet, right? So you have pi 10 squared minus pi 6 squared. 10 squared is 100, so you have 100 pi minus 36 pi, right? 6 squared. And this equals 64 pi, which matches J. On to the last question, question 59, which says, in the standard xy coordinate plane below, lines Q, R, and S all have a x-intercept of -4. An x-intercept is where a line crosses the horizontal axis, the x-axis. It's always written as x, comma, 0. The y-coordinate is always 0, so all these lines have the point -4, comma, 0. The slope of line Q is 1. The slope of line R is 2/3. And the slope of line S is the average of the slopes of line Q and R. What is the y-intercept of line S? So for this problem, what I would use is the slope-intercept formula, which is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. And how I would use that is, well, first we can figure out the slope of line S, right? To find the slope of line S, you're going to add up the slope of line Q and the slope of line R, and you're going to divide that by 2 to find the average, which is the slope of line S. So 1 plus 2/3 over 2. Remember, the numerator can be rewritten as 3/3 plus 2/3 over 2. So you have 5/3 divided by 2, which is 5/6, right? Because 5/3 times 1/2. You multiply by the reciprocal, 5/6. So this is for line S. Y equals 5/6. M is your slope. X plus B. And B is your y-intercept, which is what we're trying to find. So now what you can actually do is, we know that all these three lines go through the point -4, comma, 0. So you can plug in -4 for x here and plug in 0 for y. And then you can solve for b, which is your y-intercept of line S. And you will figure out what the y-intercept of line S is. So y equals 0, right? 5/6 times -4 plus b. So 0 equals -20/6 plus b. So that means plus 20/6 plus 20/6. B equals 20/6, which is also equal to 10/3. The y-intercept of line S is D. I hope my explanations made sense, and thank you for watching.